Hi, Bill from CJ Pony Parts. If you've been following along with our weekend wrench project car, you've seen a lot of the upgrades at this point have been to the interior. We've done a few exterior upgrades, but the one place we haven't touched at all is going to be our engine bay. Our 289 runs pretty good. Cosmetically, it could definitely use some help. So today, we're going to dress it up a little bit with some parts from Hose Candy and Scott Drake. We're going to be installing this Hose Candy kit for the 65 through 69 small block Ford Mustang. It includes their hose skin kit for all your radiator hoses, along with a sidewinder kit for all your vacuum lines. For our weekend wrench, we've chosen to go with the red and black Kevlar on the hose skin kit. While we're at it, we're going to install these chrome valve covers and this chrome air cleaner assembly from Scott Drake. For this installation, we suggest the use of a jack and jack stands or lift, although not required for the installation. You will need a 3/8 ratchet, 1/2 inch deep socket, 7/16 deep socket, 7/16 shallow socket, 6-inch extension, pick, pliers, short Phillips head screwdriver, standard Phillips head screwdriver, 1/2 inch wrench, scissors, heat gun, and safety glasses. We're going to start by giving our engine bay a good cleaning. You want to use some sort of a degreaser. Make sure everything electrical is covered up before you spray down the engine. Once you spray the degreaser, you want to let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes before you hose it off. Make sure when you're hosing it off, you do have your fenders covered so you don't get into the degreaser on the paint. The Hose Candy kit will come with hose wraps that go over the factory hoses, also replaces the original warm clamps. To do this, you're going to drain the cooling system first. We're going to remove the hoses. First step is take off the cap. Make sure the car is cool before you do this. Now we can move underneath and drain our radiator. Now you want to open the petcock on the bottom of the radiator to drain your coolant. Once you get most of the coolant out, we're going to retighten the petcock and move on to the lower radiator hose. We're going to unscrew the clamp. You may have to do this from the top. If you have a small screwdriver, you can usually get it from down here as well. Okay, now move back up top. I'm going to move the upper clamp for the lower radiator hose from the water pump. Then move the lower. I'm going to start by removing the upper hose by taking the clamp off the radiator. Remove it at the engine. Now we'll get the bypass hose off. While we're here, we're going to pop off the thermostat housing and replace our thermostat. If you haven't checked it in a while or don't know the last time it was replaced, it's a good idea to do it while you have everything apart. Carefully pry it off. Remove the housing and remove the thermostat. Now remove the lower heater hose from the water pump. Now we need to get the heater hose off the intake manifold. We're going to pop off our air cleaner, make it a little bit easier to get to it. Now we'll disconnect at the intake. These two hoses here go back to the heater core inside your heater box. To fully cover these, you'd actually have to pull the heater box up to get your heater core. What we're going to do is run the wraps back to the firewall and then terminate them at the firewall instead of pulling out our heater box. While we're letting the cooling system finish draining, we're going to swap out our valve covers. Start by pulling this off here, remove your PCV valve, and then remove the bolts. We're going to prepare our valve cover by installing our new gasket. There's cutouts the gas is going to fit right into, making it easy to line up. And we're ready to install it on the car. I'll install our new bolts. Just get them hand tight for now. Now we're going to tighten them down. You kind of want to do a crisscross pattern. You can see here our PCV hose isn't quite long enough to reach over to our new valve cover. We're going to swap the hose out, and while we're at it, we're going to replace the PCV as well. Remove our hose clamps. Here you can see the hose removed from our weekend wrench. This is the correct hose here. The back hose here is from a 351 Windsor. When using aftermarket valve covers, particularly ones that are slightly taller, a lot of times we recommend going to the Windsor hose. It's a little bit longer, makes for a much better fitment. Now reinstall the clamps. Install our new PCV valve. And reinstall it on the car. Install the PCV in the valve cover. And reconnect it behind the carburetor. Next, we'll move on to the driver's side valve cover. Install the grommet for our oil fill. And flip it over and install the gasket. Now we'll press in our new oil fill cap. We cleaned up our original thermostat housing and I'm going to reuse it. We're going to use a brand new 180-degree thermostat along with a new gasket. We're ready to work on our hoses. The Hose Candy hose skins will work fine with your original hoses. If they're in good shape, you can continue with your installation. In our case, our upper's not bad, but our lower and our bypass have definitely seen some better days. So we're going to upgrade to these Scotch Drake silicone hoses, which are also going to be stronger than the factory rubber. It's a good idea to test fit your hoses before installation. Our upper and lower radiator hoses were fine. In case of our bypass hose, it's definitely a little bit too long, so we're going to trim it down before we install it. Now we're going to start installing the hose skin. We're going to start with this top heater hose here. Since we're actually not terminating it, we only need the hose skin and the super shrink. We won't need any of the boa clamps for this part, but you will need a hair dryer or preferably a heat gun. I'm going to start by bunching it up as much as possible. That'll make it easier to install. I'm going to start feeding it over the hose. I want to get it just about to the end and then hold on and make sure it's a tight fit on the hose. And we're ready to install the super shrink. I'm going to cut off our excess at the end here. Make sure it goes all the way up against the end. You're ready to heat it. Now we'll connect the other end of the heater hose to the fitting on our lower intake. I'm going to make sure you put the super shrink on first. We'll slide our hose skin back a little bit, put on one of the boa clamps, put it back on our intake. Now we're going to heat up the boa clamp. Once the clamp's on, we're going to stretch out our hose skin again. And we'll heat up our super shrink. Now we'll repeat the process on the heater hose that goes to our water pump. Now we're going to install our upper radiator hose. We're just going to connect the water pump side for now. Make sure it's where it goes there. Now we'll put our boa clamp down into place. And we'll heat that up. Slide down the super shrink. And you want to pull it tight towards the top. I'm going to cut off the excess. We're going to install the super shrink for the top connection. Press our hose skin back a little bit. Grab our boa clamp. Connect to the radiator. Slide our clamp over and heat it up. We're going to stretch the hose skin back out tight. Super shrink up. And heat it into place. Now that we're finished with our coolant hoses, we're going to move on to the vacuum lines. The kit includes their Sidewinder kit, which will replace vacuum lines, actually pretty much any other hose under your hood as well. We're going to start with the Vacuum Advance. Disconnect from our carburetor, and then remove it from our distributor. We're going to start by grabbing the silicone hoses included with the kit. Measure out a piece that matches the original. And we'll cut it and we'll grab our new ends. The kit includes different diameters of silicone hosing, matching hose skins, a selection of fittings, as well as a quick disconnects. You want to find everything neat up front before you begin the installation. We're going to grab one of the ends with the thread that'll catch off the quick connect, put it into the L-shaped fitting that's included, and put that on our carburetor. Now we'll grab another one of the threaded fittings, and this time a straight fitting. We're going to install this on the Vacuum Advance on the distributor. Now we're going to measure out the hose skin for our new hose. Just like before, press it to open it up a little bit to install it. And then cut it on the other side as well. Install the other fitting through the splined end. You'll hear it click into place. Do that with both ends. I'm going to grab both pieces of super shrink, them over the hose. Put the barbed end of the fitting into the hose. And super shrink up to the end here, and we'll heat it up. And ready to install our custom vacuum advance hose. To install, we simply route the hose to our quick connect fittings. Slide it on, lock it into place. Last step is installation of our new air cleaner. And our installation is finished. Our air cleaner is a reproduction of the one used on the original Hypo 289. Obviously it's false advertising at this point. You don't have to use the decal, but we like the way it looks. Now you just got to fill up your cooling system, you're ready to go for a test drive. We're not quite ready for a judged car show yet. With our Scotch Drake and hose candy parts, we're no longer embarrassed to open our hood at local cruise nights. Installation run you about 2 hours. You'll be back on the road in no time. For more install videos like this, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.